welcome to Lalan's Kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a super simple Persian pasta bolognese. Essentially, it's a fusion between a Persian, an Italian, and American pasta, and it's delicious and super simple. Let's get started. Alright, so I have one about medium large size onion that I'm going to dice up for the sauce. I like to go a little bit heavy on my onions because I like to caramelize it to begin with. It just adds another depth of flavor to the sauce. And the proper way to hold a knife is to bend your thumb and your fingers curved over here so you have a nice firm grip. Also for your fingers, you always want to watch out for your fingers. Curl them under just so you will never cut your fingers. You see it just slides along the knuckles. Here we move on to the green bell pepper. Again, you can always take out this ingredient if it doesn't meet your flavor preference. So mushrooms are really one vegetable you should not wash under running water. What I do, I just grab a very damp paper towel and I just rub all surfaces of the mushroom off on here, and you see how much dirt that gets off. So mushrooms are very porous vegetables. If you wash them, they end up turning watery and gray when you are trying to saute them on the stove. So it's really important to use the paper towel to get the visible dirt off. I've prepped my ingredients for the Persian pasta bolognese, and I like to put my ingredients in order of how I'm going to saute them. So in a medium to medium large saute pan, I'm going to put the heat on about high to medium high, and I'm going to start with sauteing my onions. So you can see that the onions are starting to turn a little translucent and a little brown around the edges, and this is when I know to put the mushrooms in. We really want to cook these mushrooms and onions down to intensify the flavor. So one thing I never do at this point when the mushrooms and onions are in, I never add salt. Salt draws out the water from the mushrooms, and it's going to make it really a watery sauce and hard for it to saute and caramelize. So once we've reached this stage with the mushroom and onions, about 3/4 of the way caramelized, not too brown, we want to put in the ground beef. So once you've added in the ground beef, you just want to break it up into small pieces. The smaller the better. Another tool I like using to ground up any meat is a potato masher. Potato mashers are actually very versatile in the kitchen. You don't just have to mash potatoes with them. They really break up the meat in fine pieces in about half the time. So once you see the meat beginning to brown, this is where you want to add your green bell peppers. So lastly, I add in the minced garlic. Once you see that the ground beef has browned beautifully, this is the last veggie we want to put in before we add in the spices and the tomato paste. This is just so the garlic doesn't burn, and we just want to slightly soften the garlic. So the garlic has been cooking in the brown ground beef now for about a minute, and this is where you want to add the tomato paste. We really want to cook the tomato paste and fry it in these pan oils, just so it doesn't have that raw tomato paste in the sauce. So what I usually do is kind of make a little corner over here on the side for the tomato paste to brown on its own. I like a lot of tomato paste in mine. I probably add about 4 tablespoons, but again, this is your preference based on how tomatoey you like your pasta dish. So you see how all the oil and the olive oil have come to the tomato paste. You just want to lightly fry it in this beautiful oil. So once you've fried up your tomato paste to give it a little golden color, get that raw taste out of there, this is where you can put in your spices. Now again, I like to scoot over the tomato paste and create a little area for the spices to saute in the retained oil. I've tried many tomato paste in stores. I found that this 365 Whole Foods brand, the double concentrated tomato paste, tastes the best. So the spices I'm going to put in are turmeric, black pepper, cinnamon, advieh, paprika, cayenne, dried parsley, and salt. And again, it's important to put that salt at the end just so you can control how much is going in. A brand I like using for my spices and my herbs is Sadaf. It's very easy to find in Mediterranean markets. You can find it online. If you swipe up, I will include the link in the description. For my pasta dish today, I'm using the advieh polo and the cinnamon and the paprika of Sadaf today. They're very fragrant herbs, they're relatively inexpensive, and they're easy to find. So I'm a no sauce left behind kind of gal, so I like to just use the jar that the pasta sauce was in, pour in the boiling water. I use probably about 1 cup or so. Kind of give it a swirl, get all the tomato out of it, and pour it directly in your sauce. Now it's important to make sure that the water is boiling just so it doesn't reduce the temperature of the pasta sauce. You see how that quickly starts boiling? The brand of pasta sauce I'm using today is Wegmans. It's the Amore line. I think Wegmans has 2 pasta lines, and it's the Amore one, the marinara pasta sauce. There's another delicious one, it's the arrabbiata sauce, but this is definitely my go-to. So while the sauce is simmering away, I went ahead and peeled about 4 small red potatoes. Another potato I like to use are the russet potatoes or the golden Yukon potatoes. Those turn really well as a taggy. So I cut the potatoes to about 1/4 inch thick, no thicker than that, no thinner than that. We don't want it to burn or cook too quickly. So once I've cut those about 1/4 inch thick, just as a decoration, looks like pretty flowers, why not? I took parsley leaves that I de-stemmed and just placed them right over the potato. With the moisture of the potato, it sticks to it. So the pasta sauce is about halfway cooked. I'm going to let it cook for another about 15 minutes or so. And in the meantime, I'm going to start on the pasta water. So in a large pot, I have about 3 quarts of water that I want to put on a high heat to get it to a rolling boil. Typically in Persian pasta, you end up straining the pasta and sometimes rinsing it, so it'll get off that residual salt on it. So the actual pasta will be flavorful, but the outside coating won't have all that salt on it. So once the pasta water has come to a rolling boil, I'm going to add a full package of this fusilli. It's about 8 servings or so. If you want a more meaty sauce, you can put about 3/4 of the bag in. And we want to give this a quick stir and a couple of stirs throughout the process of cooking. Now, the differentiation between an Italian pasta and so what really differentiates Persian pasta versus Italian pasta is Persian pasta is steamed in the sauce. So the sauce really permeates into the nooks and the crannies of the pasta, and it makes it that much more flavorful. I'm gonna let this pasta boil until it's about al dente, which is a little bite to it. So I've strained my pasta, and in the same pot that I boiled the pasta in, I wanna put some oil in there. So I'm adding about 3 to 4 tablespoons of oil. And it seems like a lot, but those potatoes really need that oil to crisp up beautifully and give it that tagging that we're looking for. So these are the potatoes I had sliced earlier, and we want to just put them face down, so parsley side down in the pot. So now that the sauce has simmered and it's completely cooked, and look how beautiful and meaty it is. That the mushrooms that you add really intensifies that meaty taste and gives you a really rich sauce. So at this point, you want to take your strained pasta and just put it directly into the meat sauce. So I have here the fully incorporated pasta sauce in the pasta, and from here we want to gently put in the pasta on top of these potatoes. All right, so now we want to add 2 paper towels to the top of the pot with the pasta in it. The reason why I add these 2 paper towels is to steam the pasta and securely place the lid tight on the pot. We're going to let this steam for about 20-30 minutes on a low to medium low heat. So this is our beautiful steamed pasta. And now this is where we want to put the saffron on the pasta when it's finished and it's ready to be served. All right, folks, and there you have it. Beautiful, delicious, and flavorful. Thanks for joining me on Ladan's Kitchen today. I hope you enjoy the recipe for the Persian pasta bolognese. If you have any questions for me or are looking for any tips or for me to recreate a recipe, I'm going to include my email right up on the screen. It's laudanscuisine@gmail.com.